Is anybody home?
Here's our Eufy Security by Anker Video Smart Lock. Let's do a quick unboxing. Have everything unboxed and ready to install, but first let's go over what all of these things are. This is actually your internal doorbell chime, and it actually has a micro SD card slot inside. The micro SD card is not included. You're going to end up having to attach this wall outlet to it in order to have it powered. I like that all the hardware came, the locking mechanism, the key, the strike plate, screws, etc., because I've done other smart deadbolts or whatever, and none of that came with it. You actually use the ones you had in the house, so it's really convenient that Eufy included those in their package. Here is Eufy's 10,000 milliamp rechargeable battery. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to plug it in. There's a USB-C port right here that we're just going to plug in and charge, and of course these lights light up different colors based on the charge. Let's do that now. My kit actually did not come with a wire, so I ended up grabbing the one I used for my phone. So when you plug this in, it glows red when it's charging, and then it'll be blue when it's fully charged. Let's come back when it's fully charged. Let's peel off that so we can take a closer look. All right, so you can see, yes, I can hit the button like a doorbell. I do have a keypad so I can enter it manually. There is a camera that is super sweet, and on top there's a fingerprint sensor. This thing is really, really heavy. On the back, we actually see our locking mechanism, which comes to the inside door locking part. We have a wire that comes through to the back side of this as well, and then this other wire which powers the entire unit together. This inside unit actually comes apart, and right now, since it's not screwed in or hooked up, it comes apart really, really easily. So you can hook up your door lock system here and then screw some other screws in just to hold it safe. If you need to know where the Eufy battery goes, you actually just slide this up, and inside here is where your battery goes. And of course, there's a QR code that there's there specifically for your unit. On the bottom of the mechanism here, we can see a reset button. There's a speaker, and then an emergency port. It's a USB-C port to charge the battery in case the battery goes dead and you need to get inside the house.
Before we go much further, if you're new here, my name is Jeff, and this is Jeff Reviews for You. I review a whole lot of products. I specialize in reviewing as seen on TV items. Every once in a while, I do a little bit of a DIY just because I like to. If that aligns with something that you're looking for online, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and click the bell below. That way you're notified every time I release a video just like this one. Can I tell you something funny? The folks out at Mott & Bow thought that I needed a wardrobe update, so they sent me these sweet jeans. Let's take a closer look.
These jeans have a modern cut and design. I really like the deep pockets where I can slip my wallet into. The material is comfortable, a little stretchy. You do have a variety of colors to choose from and cuts. I will say that I received no financial compensation. I just like these jeans. If there's something that interests you, I'll leave a link down below.
Now, let's get back to reviewing the Video Smart Lock by Eufy.
Here is the inside of the door where I'm going to install the Eufy Security Video Smart Door Lock. And so I'm going to take this off, put the inside unit here and the outside unit, of course, on the outside. Now, I've not replaced this since I've purchased the house, and I'm actually working with someone to replace this door, but I figured we can put this on for now. You can see this is the strip of the alien seal that I'd put on there to keep some of that air outside. So let's take off all the hardware. All right, so I'm going to be installing the deadbolt now. That's the next step. Look at that. It actually says the Eufy brand on there. Anyway, it's two different sizes. So mine is a typical size install, but if yours is like the 3/4 inch, you actually just spin this and it gets wider. And then of course you install it that way. You do need to make sure you're installing it in the correct orientation. You see how that word top is there? So I want to make sure I'm right side up. And so the top is well, red as it says top. So I'm just going to slide this in, screw it in, and then I'm going to go on to the next step. Now we're going to install the exterior assembly. And so what that means, we have to put the wires underneath the deadbolt, and then we line up this pin right through. There is an up and a bottom, so just make sure you have the groove towards the top, and then just slide it in place. Now we're going to install the interior portion, but first we have to make sure these wires go through. There's a smaller wire, a bigger wire, and then of course we have that pin on the inside of the door that also goes through. Now let's hook in our screws. Now that I have the screws installed here, this is pretty tight, it doesn't move, but I want to make sure I have the deadbolt working because sometimes if you over tighten screws, it won't work. So I'm just going to twist this pin. All right, so it looks like in my case, it works. Now let's put on the interior faceplate. If you find that your lock is wobbly, there's an optional screw hole that you can just screw right in there to hold it in tight. First thing we need to do is install this brass or gold wire right up into here. So we just line it up and then you're just gonna push it into place. Once you get it snapped in, I'm just gonna move it down there to get it out of the way. Now I'm gonna install this one. Takes a little bend and then I'll push it in. Just like that. Now that my wires are installed, I'm actually going to get it to loop around here and then hook the pin into this part. Once I get it there, I can push it in place. The next step is to install 3 screws. 1 goes here and 2 go behind the battery compartment so that faceplate stays on. So I typically will just hold this here because it can fall off or move away. So just make sure you're holding it on and screwing in those 3 screws. For this lower screw, they do have like a rubber plug that you can just push right in there to give you a more clean installation. Here are the 2 additional screws. Now this thing is completely screwed in and tight. Let's go get the battery. When I initially did the unboxing, I mentioned that there was a set of keys, but I never showed you where the key was. So if you just peel out this doorbell part, it releases the emergency key access. Now there is rubber around here, so it's supposed to be weather tight, and when you're done, you just pop it right back into place and no one knows there's a key spot underneath there. Our battery is still charging. It's been charging now for about 2 hours. We are completely installed with the entire door lock hardware. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna install the app and then set up our system. Let's install our system. First thing we have to do is install this chime or bridge, and so we're gonna click on Wi-Fi bridge. I'm gonna hit next. Now on the bottom of my bridge here, there's actually a QR code that I have to scan, and so it's gonna pop up my camera, and I'm gonna do that now. We get a screen that tells us that it's recommended to install this device between the router and the video door lock itself. So we're gonna do that. We'll hit next. Of course, we have to plug it in, but we never installed our plug, so we'll do that and then go plug it in. To install the outlet, we just take the back piece, we stick it in so it fits, and then we twist it until we hear a click. Now we know we are installed. Let's go plug it in. We've plugged our chime in, and then it gave us an audible notice to use the system to set up the security door lock. So we're gonna hit next. Now we are gonna have to hook our phone to a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi because that's the same Wi-Fi that the door lock is gonna use as well. Our next step is to find the sync button on top here. We're gonna push and hold it for 2 seconds.
Ready for setup.
Let's hit next on the app. As we hit next, it is now trying to connect to our 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and it's giving us a signal on our phone that it's trying to connect to the device.
Device was added successfully.
So we're told that it's added, it's definitely connected to our internet, and so now we can move on to the lock itself. Now that our bridge is online, we can go back to the app. We're gonna hit add device. We're gonna scroll down until we find our device. And of course, this installation, we're using the smart video lock. Yes, that's the home. So let's hit next. We're selecting our home base. The next directions we have is to push and hold the sync button for 2 seconds until we hear a beep. We just heard a faint beep. We'll hit next. Now, the phone is actually generating a QR code that the camera will have to look at. So we're gonna do that now. Remember, the camera's on the outside of the door. Our phone has generated the QR code. We scanned in our QR code and it just told us that it's connecting to the network. Next, we're gonna calibrate the lock. So we are supposed to close and lock the door. Now that our door is locked, we're gonna click next to calibrate the lock. As you can see, the security system tested the lock and calibrated it.
I'm standing about 4 feet away from the video smart lock, and so this is about what you'll see on the night vision. Let me get closer. Hey there. I would love to get your thoughts of this smart lock. Let me know down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you.
Now we are going to calibrate the fingerprint part on the lock. So let's start our enrollment. So what it's asking us to do is to recognize your skin. It wants us to get a few tests in there.
Fingerprint setup.
As I'm doing this, you can see that the screen is also indicating that it's recognizing. I'm moving.
Slightly adjust the position of your finger on the sensor.
I'm moving my thumb around different places just so it recognizes it.
Fingerprint setup complete.
Now that I have it locked, you can see the deadbolt here. What happens if I put my thumb up here? Oh, it sent the deadbolt in and it unlocked the door. Very cool. In this video, we were taking a look at the Eufy Video Smart Lock. So what did I think of it? Well, first things first, I'm really happy that it came with all of the parts that I needed. I don't know if you saw my review where I looked at the Simply Safe Smart Lock. Well, I needed my own hardware for that thing. Like if I didn't have a lock, I'd have to go buy one. This one came with everything that I needed, and that is awesome. I also love the technology that they've crammed into this little tiny device. I'm talking fingerprint scanner, memory codes. They even put a doorbell, a camera, and even a spot for a key. This is a really neat device. All that technology paired really nice with the app where you can actually unlock and lock the door lock from the app. You can also record camera, you can communicate with whomever's there, and you can hear what they're saying. It's a lot of really neat features. As with my other Eufy products that I reviewed, I'm glad that the internet that I have way out here in the country, which is not very great, I'm still able to use the video features and all the different features of the smart lock, and I wasn't too disappointed.
I tell you what, I really like the Eufy Video Smart Lock. I think it has a lot of great features and a lot of cool things, but you know what? There's one major flaw. I have a screen door. What happens then? My final installation will have to be on a door that does not have a storm door in front.
What didn't I like about it? Well, the first thing, it's not really the door lock's fault. I have a storm door on the front of my house, so therefore I can't see mostly what's going on out there. Now, the lock part still works. It's just the camera is blocked because of the storm door. So I'm going to end up moving mine to a different door where I will have full access to all of the features. Another thing that I was a little disappointed about was the battery. Yes, it's a 10,000 milliamp battery, and yes, I did check the video every day, and yes, I did do a lot of recording through the camera. It didn't even last a full month before I had to recharge it. There's actually the part at the end of the month where I was testing it where I wouldn't even let me look at the camera because the battery was so low. The other features still worked, just not that. Anyway, you might not get the same usage as I did if you're not recording things every single day, but just know the battery might not last as long as you think it should. That was my full review of the Eufy Video Smart Lock. If this is something that interests you, I will leave a link down in the description. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day. I'm going to test the battery backup. You can see that I have no power on this, nothing lights up, and the door is locked. So I have a power bank with a USB-C plug, so I'm just going to plug that in the bottom. You can see that it immediately lights up. Let's test to see if the thumbprint scanner will work. Oops, sounds like something's happening. Sure enough, I was just able to gain access.
I really do appreciate that you stayed around for my entire review of this Video Smart Lock. You know what? Not that long ago, I actually reviewed another Eufy product, and it's their Floodlight Cam Pro 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link that right over here, and I would love it if you would click on this link. And when you do, by the magic of the internet, I'm going to join you at this review. So go ahead, click it. It's safe, I promise.